Hey, what's up guys, it's Isaac again, back on Nippon Speed. Yeah, I know it's been a while since the last video, but we're still working on the S14, the red one. Good news, we're about to finish it. Just finishing off a few things, just hoses, clamps, and filling up finally the CD009. Just been busy these last couple of weeks, and we're preparing for snow, freezing rains, ice and snow for this weekend, so it's gonna be a chilly one for starting the year. First things first, let me just show you a little bit the shop. We've been, like I said, we've been busy last few weeks. It's kind of dirty now, but it's okay. I never had a chance to show you guys the shop, but this is pretty much what we got. Excuse the mess in some parts. Today I've been pretty much cleaning. You can tell the difference between this dirty, greasy floor compared to when it's all clean. Oh, what we got here? For those of you just tuning in for the first time, this is our personal build, S95 S14 Zenki. Project build took about 2.5 years to build from the ground up. It was originally gold, Nissan gold. I personally stripped the car down to the bare metal. It's a lot dirty now. It's been in here and under the covers for a long time. I don't like to drive it when it's raining or if the roads have salt or anything like that. So it pretty much just stays in here. But the build took about 2.5 years, so it's pretty much stock. Besides the basic bolt-ons, bigger turbo, front Tomei. It has a Tomei full titanium exhaust, X-City hyper clutch clutch kit with a hyper single clutch kit, flywheel, 850cc injectors, Wabro, 250 fuel pump, 1.5 cause limited slip. It does have the 370Z big brakes front and back with the R32 e-brake cables and Z32 drum to disc setup in the back. So a lot's been done to it, custom paint. The paint is a secret, even though it's a lot dirty, but it is a secret right now. But and then the casualties. You can see some casualties, some bug guts, and scrapes here and there with a little bit of drifting here and there, but it's all good. This is a show car slash feature track car, so just stay tuned for more on upcoming stuff for our personal S14 build. But enough of that, let's continue off with the red S14 cookie. Today we finally got the valve cover, the new one that's going to go in. The customer had the other side of the cover shaved. He wanted just the Nissan emblem on it. All we gotta do is change the cap, put the PCV valve back on, put the new gasket in, and it should be good to go to install. We also got a brand new throttle cable, OEM Nissan. The other one was broken, so we're gonna go ahead and install these parts today and see if we could finish it off. We only, like I said before, we only got a few stuff left to do on the build, so we should be good to go in the next, I would say, 2 weeks. We should be good. I'm gonna uncover the car right now so you guys can see. Before I do that, let me show you also the rear seats the customer wants to put in. This is from a JDM S14 from Japan. He had a friend import these seats, and so he wants them put in. And I'm gonna show you the difference between the JDM style of the design and the USDM style. So this is JDM design rear seats, and I'm gonna show you right now the USDM style rear seats, how they look. These are the front ones, and then the door panels, and then the rear is pretty much the same. The only difference is it has bigger shapes. The other one is more like a line type. This is like a, I would say like a zebra type, where it's no, excuse me, the JDM style is a zebra type. This is more like different color shapes, but that's the only difference basically. We got green, purple, black, gray, whereas over there it's just silverish and grayish. But pretty much that's the only difference. Seat wise it's still the same, it's just the pattern that changes. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this car uncovered. So first things first, I gotta take this out, the top plenum, the top half of the intake plenum. In order to put a block off plate for one of the vent tubes. This part I'm doing by hand because I don't want to risk using my impact gun and stripping the threads, because if threads were to strip, it's more time I gotta waste and time that we don't have in order to finish. And why get into a situation like that when you could bypass all the headaches? So we're just doing it this way. To be on the safe side. And I'll show you once it's off. What's the block off plate I'm talking about? I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but how the intake is wobbling. Now, if you guys were to use the setup I did here and also in my personal S14, that we used a 1-inch plate, extender plate, to raise the intake plenum. Make sure that, I believe I mentioned it in the other video, but just make sure that you put the bolts in the original spot you took them out of, because in the kit not all the bolts are the same size, or the same length, I mean. So just keep that in mind. Okay, that one's out. That one's out. This one still has. The longest one is the middle one. I believe we got it. Pretty much just pick it off very carefully. And then that's that 1-inch plate I was talking about. So show you now the plate. So this is the port that we're going to be blocking off, and you could put two caps on this one. Then where it's pushed in, it's just the paint didn't go all the way to here. But you cap these two you cap off. This vent tube, you're going to block it. As far as I know, they don't sell a bracket to block it off. So pretty much what I did in my old setup and what I'm doing in this is pretty much the same. So pretty much just use the gasket that went originally. Make yourself a little block off plate. It doesn't matter the thickness as long as it caps it. Get two little bolts. The thread pitch, I don't remember exactly, but if you were to get a 10mm bolt, that's the thread pitch that you're gonna need. I think it's like a 1. And so that's the finishing product of a block off plate for the intake vent tube on an SR20 intake plenum. Alright, so from here we're gonna go back, but before I put the top part, I'm gonna finish off putting the injector harness and also putting the new valve cover in. Let's see if I can put the camera. Better shot. Alright, so we got this ground wire, we got the purple, we got the brown somewhere, I don't see it now, but let's go ahead and just finish the intake stuff. To tuck my stuff as best as I can to have a more cleaner look per se. So I like to be routing stuff. To where it could best fit without crimping the wires or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, what most customers want and what most people like to see is the cleanness of the build. So that's what we're trying to get here. And plus, the more clean you leave your build, says a lot about who is working in your car. At least I think like that. Here at the shop, we've seen so many things. Sometimes we're like, oh my god, who worked in here? Okay, this is a tough one. Let's see. Let's loosen that one first. Let's get this one in. On a build like this, oh, there's the brown. On a build like this, typically can run as long as you have the parts, obviously. If you have the parts with you, can typically run you I would say no more than 3 months per se. This one in particular took a little bit longer because we had to be waiting on parts. One of the times parts were wrong. Most of the parts we got were coming directly from California, from our suppliers, so we try and zoom in once. All right, so that's what came with the rail. That's what we got wrong. Well, what they sent us wrong, my bad. What they sent us wrong. And that is what's going in. Alright, for starters, this is 6AN male to male fitting. Originally the rail was formatted to fit an AN fuel line system, but the customer opted to go with an AN to barb, for the sake that if by any chance one day he has to, he either gets stranded or something were to go wrong, he could just go to the local parts store and just get a hose and then just switch it, than to wait a week or who knows how long just to get the part, like the line or anything like that. Because not around here, we don't have really any race shops that could supply this, like in California or maybe in like Orlando or stuff like that, that we're close enough to get parts from. But here in North Carolina, we don't have really many race shops that supply parts or even have AN stuff just on the shelf. But yeah, that's a 6 AN male to male. Same hole size or same diameter. This was a 6 AN to a 3/8 hose. To a 3/8 hose. And the reason why this is wrong was, if the whole system was to have a 3/8 line from the fuel tank all the way to the rail to the regulator and all that, it'll be fine. But I didn't want to be feeding that much fuel just to the rail and then having a 5/16 hose, and then on the rail having a 1/4 inch fitting and then going to a 5/16. It was going to be small to big, big to small, small to big, big to enormous, which is this fitting right here to the rail, and then going up and down. So pretty much the fluctuation will be jumping all over the place because of the amount of size differences between the regulator to the lines, to the fuel lines, the rubber ones, and the fittings. So what we ended up doing was getting the right fitting, which is a 6 AN with orb. That's how they have it. That's how they have it described. So it's pretty much a 6 AN orb with O-ring, and on the other end is a 5/16 barb fitting. And instead of having 5/16 to the rail and then going back to a 1/4, which is what the regulator originally came with, what we did was put 5/16 on both ends. So the whole fuel system is going to be pretty much the same size from the regulator to the rail, from the rail to the tank, and then back. So that way we don't have no more fuel fluctuations or anything like that, like it was going to be if we would have gone ahead either way, just to save time in using the fittings that they sent wrong. So even though we had to wait a little bit more, but I had rather go with the right fittings and have the same size all around than just be going cheap, a cheaper route and cutting corners. So that's not what we do here. We like to do things right the first time. So that's what we did. By the way, these are Ditchworks 5/16 6 AN to 5/16 fittings. They are Ditchworks 6 AN. Part number is 6 AN M as in Mary 51 6 B as in boy, and they're from Ditchworks. You could get them directly from Ditchworks. If you get it from Ditchworks, you could get it from Summit Racing. I think Jegs has it. If you get it from Ditchworks, their part number is 6-02-1 0505. But pretty much you could, either get it from them or from Summit or Jegs, or whoever is closest gives you a better deal depending on the rep you get. But pretty much that's all we got for fittings, and here we go. One more thing I forgot to mention. When I did my setup, it came with O-rings, and I still had leaks. Some guys use just washers. My recommendation is go to your local parts store and get seal. This is the most important part you gotta read when you're dealing with gas and sealants. Make sure that they are gas and oil resistant. If they're not, like happened to me, depending on the parts people that work there, that they assure you that any sealant will work, it won't work. If it's not gas and oil resistant, it's not gonna work. This is what I've used so far. I haven't had any issues. You can get it at your local parts store, and this is what we're gonna be using. Even though these have O-rings, it doesn't hurt to put just a little bit to have an extra seal. I'm gonna warn you, they are very sticky and gooey. So just with a little bit is gonna be enough. And one more thing, it dries super fast. So once you apply it, you gotta hurry up and put it. When it comes to half moons and on the SRs, I've heard some people say they leak. I don't know if it's true or not. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. Now, when I did mine, it was just preference of me putting a tad bit of silicone on the half moons where they sit on for the SR20 gaskets. This was just my personal preference, and so we're doing the same thing on this one. If you guys have seen or heard, or if it's true or not, if you don't mind, just comment below and let me know. Either way, and like I said, it's just preference. It doesn't hurt if you put silicone either way. Just make sure that you don't put, a monster load of silicone, because if you put in gasket, why put silicone? But we're only putting on this case just to be on the safe side. Just a tiny bit. pretty much just tap it down nicely, you know, like Picasso painting a painting, gently, and leaving a thin coat. Just a thin coat is what we're leaving. That's all we're gonna leave. And this is pretty much just like preventive maintenance per se. Better safe than sorry. I don't know what are the quotes to give on preventive maintenance, but you get the idea. I will say this is a lot easier when the engine is out of the car than when it's in it. Only reason why we didn't do it this time was because we didn't have the cover back, but it's not something that it can't be done. It can be done. It's just, you know, everything's a lot easier when the engine is not in the car. See? Just a thin little coat. Oh. Alright. So, right now with the cover. Alright, she's in. Alright. Okay, now it's time to put the little, I'm not really sure what you call these, but let's just say little O-ring gasket seals, something like that. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright, so the valve cover is pretty much bolted down. I went ahead and put new hardware. I put new washers, because if you look, that hole is too big for just this little nut to fit. So I put, it's too much glare. There we go. I put these gold washers, heavy duty washers, to so it could be tightened down a lot better, and then new nuts also to give it a more cleaner, newer look to the engine. I ran out of the new ones, so on Monday I'm gonna go to the parts store and pick up some new, some more nuts. Pretty much it. This is pretty much it. My bad. I'm just gonna put back the top half of the plenum, and that's pretty much it for today. Next week we're gonna be working on putting that new throttle cable. Oh, the light. We have light now, so I'm gonna show you right quick before I leave. Pretty much this is the issue. It completely broke off, so that's a no-no. But next week we're gonna be replacing that new throttle cable. We're gonna be finishing up the plumbing for the coolant on the bottom, just clamping it off and putting one more. We're gonna be also finishing the plumbing for the fuel setup. We're also gonna be installing the regulator, putting the serpentine belts back on, putting new clamps on the radiator hoses. We're gonna probably clean up a little bit the base so it could look different for when I take some pictures. What else? Most likely gonna be installing also the rear seat. And I believe that's the starter also as well. We're gonna be installing the starter. Finishing off the harness, just plugging whatever else needs to be plugged back in. And that's pretty much it. So that's a wrap for today's video. Just wanted to show you guys the difference between old cover, new cover, putting new hardware in it, little tricks for the cover not to be leaking. We're also one more thing. The power steering neck, we fixed it. Let me put some light over here. We fixed the issue we were having. Alright, we fixed the issue we were having. If we did it like that, how it is right now, it's sitting pretty much touching the exhaust manifold. So what we gone ahead and did was, let me put this light so we could. Alright, there we go. Alright, my bad. So we're going ahead and we shaved this nipple off a little bit. Little nipple, we shaved it. And I rounded it off just so it could have the look of the factory so that when people see it, they would think, oh, it was like that from factory. It's really not. It's a lot longer. But I grinded it off, shaved, and then grind off the edges, rounded it off so it could look a lot better, and wheel wheeled a wire wheeled the whole tube, and so it's gonna sit pretty much like that. And then I already marked it so it could be aligned. And then this braided line is the power steering line. I gotta loosen it in the bottom and then bend it so we could put it right here, and then that will be truly it. We're also gonna be putting the booster hose. That's a new booster hose, by the way, so we could run from there all the way to the intake. And we're also gonna be finishing off the master clutch line from the master all the way down to the CD009 slave. Pumping, we're gonna be adding fluid to the brakes. We need to pump it, bleed it, my bad, bleed it. And we're also gonna be filling up the CD009 for the first time and topping off the two-way limited slip that the customer had installed before. We're just topping it off with the cause fluid. Is brand new fluid, so that we're gonna also be showing you guys that for next week's videos. All right, so see you guys. You have an awesome weekend, and stay tuned for more content. Like I said, a lot of stuff are going to be coming for the future project Zenki. We're still on the works for it. It's pretty much stock. Like I told a friend of mine, my S14 is in 2nd grade still. It hasn't even reached middle school. So pretty much with what the deals I'm trying to work out with some companies right now, we're gonna be moving forward and graduating that young kid to a monster. So stay tuned for more content, and all this could also be found on our Instagram page at Nippon Speed. Just put it together, and our icon is the same as the YouTube channel. It's just Japan with the rising sun in the back, just in case other people have Nippon somewhere else, but just so you guys could tell the difference between us and others. But that's pretty much it. You guys have an awesome weekend, and thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, just hit the thumbs up on the screen and subscribe to more exclusive content. Thanks.